Shalom from Israel. We study biblical feasts and its prophetic messages and the blessing of the feasts for our days in Israel and in the nations, because we're talking about God's given feast. One of the less known feasts in Israel, it's actually Feast of Bekurim. We say it Chag HaBekurim, Feast of First Fruits. Let's go to the source and read the Bible in Leviticus 23. And God's saying here, verse 9, "And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you come into the land which I gave to you, and reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priests." Let's talk, what does it mean for us today? And what was the message and what was the practical application for this feast in the days of the Bible? Let's imagine I live in Israel 3,000 years ago. I am in the land. God have blessed my land, my family, my heritage, my tribe. And now we celebrated Passover. And after Passover, we have a feast of Chag HaBekurim, Feast of First Fruits. What shall I do? I have to come to my field, pray to the Lord, bless the name of the Lord, Baruch Atah Adonai, for blessing me, and now it's time to act. I take in my knife, magal, and I'm working on the harvest, cutting the harvest, cutting it with prayers, with lots of joy, because God Himself keep His promises. He have blessed my labor, He blessed my life. And now I take in my first shift. And what shall I do with the shift? Let's study, talk about, and see what God is teaching us through these symbols. So, when I got my omer, in Hebrew it's called omer, my sheaf, I have to take it to the priest. Before I work on my field, before I reap in the harvest, first of all, the very first fruit of the fields, omer, sheaf, I have to bring it before the Lord and dedicate it to the Lord by going to the priest and giving it to priest to bless. And only then I will be able to work on the harvest and enjoy all the blessings of the Lord. So, the very first fruit of my labor or of my field going to the Lord have to be dedicated and given to the Lord. And by doing that, I'm proclaiming that He is Lord of my life, He is source of my blessings, He is Lord of my fields, and everything I have belongs to Him. In Hebrew, harvest is katsir. Before I'm going to dedicate harvest to the Lord, I take in my shofar, and priests have to proclaim day of harvest, proclaim beginning of feast, blowing the shofar. Bible said, blow the trumpets in Zion, blow the shofar and proclaim harvest of the Lord, harvest to the Lord, for the Lord. We continue to read. It says, "You shall bring a sheaf of the first fruit of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted on your behalf. On the day after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it." Priest receiving the sheaf from the people of Israel, he going to pray. And now it's a time of the blessing of God, when blessing going to be released. He taking a sheaf and he praying to the Lord, dedicated to the Lord, saying, Baruch Atah Adonai, Amivarech et harvest shelanu. And then priest shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to the four corners of the earth, proclaiming blessing. Blessing going to cover the land. Blessing going to fill the land and be released from heaven. That's what priests do. He waving the sheaf before the Lord, on the left and the right, on the south and north, east and west. He is proclaiming blessing of the Lord. Lord, we dedicate our life to you. It's an amazing picture and illustration for us. That's what we shall do, to dedicate to the Lord our lives. If you have fields, dedicate the fields. You have business, dedicate business. Whatever we have, we dedicate them to the Lord that our offering, that labor, fruit of our labor will be blessed. That's the commandment. And what happened next? God is releasing His blessing over the land, over the fields, over people's life, and we are blessed. We're going to be blessed. The biblical fulfillment, prophetic fulfillment about Feast of First Fruits, Hag HaBikurim, that's Jesus. As we waving the sheaf before the Lord, as we taking first fruit of my field, before I'm going to work with it, before I'm going to give a tenth to the Lord, first of all, I dedicate it to the Lord, rising up, and the symbolic proclamation about Yeshua. He have risen from the dead as firstborn, first fruits. That's what Bible said. That's the prophetic fulfillment. Now, when we dedicated our harvest to the Lord, we counting, it's called Sfirat Omer, we're counting shifts from this day, 7 weeks, and then we're going to celebrate the harvest, fullness of harvest, which is Feast of Shavuot. We have a series of videos, and in the next videos we're going to talk about Feast of Shavuot, Feast of Harvest.